Who are these people?
Good afternoon or evening, wherever you're at today. My name is Angel Rivera, so that means you're watching Angel in the Afternoon. I have a guest, Alex Knight, once again with us this week. How you doing, man?
Good. How about you?
It could be better, but I'm getting through it. You know,
Hmm.
uh, I could I could tell you, but long day I've had. Hey, Witchy, thanks you're here again. Just real quick, I woke up with horrible back pain again. It's like an
Right.
everyday thing now. It's like it's like I it's like I'm sleeping on a cot they give you when you're in jail. Like one of those like little small things like that. You might as well sleep on the metal bed. That's what I
Mm.
feel like. It's like I'm getting like, oh, I can't get up. Yeah. And it's like that for hours. It's much better now, but
Make sure you don't have colon issues like I did. So yeah.
oh, well, I don't. Maybe I mean I have to go. I probably got to make it. I got a doctor's appointment coming up, so probably gonna get a bunch of X-rays done on my back and other things. But yeah, other than that, everything is okay. I mean, like, then I had issues in my ankle, but that's surgically repaired. That was operated on 10 years ago. So ever since the operation, it's like as soon as it gets cold, forget
Mm.
about it. I'm in pain because it's like it could barely moves. I can barely walk on it, but like
Yeah.
I said, we're getting through it. So not here to complain. I'm here to do the show
Hmm.
because that's why I'm kind of sitting like this too. So I'm sitting in a weird way, but it has to be done. So heating pad, I don't have one. That's like the weird part about it, Steph. I don't have a heating pad, or at least I don't think I do. There's a bunch of stuff over there that there's different medications there and stuff, but I didn't see a heating pad, so I might have to get like an icy hot or whatever because for now it's nothing's working. So all right, now let's get to the show though. Tonight we're gonna be talking about the Trump administration's intention on using a national emergency order in order to use the military to deport a bunch of illegal what are we calling them, illegal immigrants or
Migrants.
migrants, because I just call them illegal aliens, but now that's politically incorrect, so it's like so I think that illegal. Yeah, so other than that, I mean, they're illegal aliens, migrants, immigrants, whatever. They're tending to use that as well. The Biden administration is trying to start World War III before leaving office because they're allowing the Ukrainians to use their U.S. missiles to directly strike inside of Russia, which they've done at least twice since the beginning of the week. So, and the Russians have made it crystal clear that yeah, you keep attacking us, we're going to attack you next. So, no, don't think we won't attack you. So it's like he's trying to start World War III before leaving office, and then leaving Trump with the mess. It's like, oh, I started World War III. Oh, good luck to you trying to fix that mess I just started. I'm out. I'm going to the retirement home. So yeah, hopefully the Russians, show restraint, but we'll see what happens there. Because another thing they did recently is they also Putin signed an order saying, "Oh yeah, if we reserve the right to use nuclear weapons." So it's like there you go. This is what Biden wants. He wants to poke the bear. Poke the bear like the Russian poke the. They want to piss off the Russians. So it's like, hey, I mean, you think they won't use nukes? I mean, especially in Ukraine, because that just solves a problem right there. Oh, you're fucking with us. There's a mushroom cloud, So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. So hopefully it doesn't come to that because that gave me chills. But now let's get to the first, and then if there's time, we'll talk about other things. We'll see. But let's get back to Donald Trump and his intentions on using the military to I'm forgetting my train of thought to deport immigrants or illegal immigrants, let's say. This is the Ken Doll from ABC News. I don't know if you can
President-elect Trump confirming his plan to declare a national emergency when he takes office, and that he plans to use the U.S. military to assist in mass deportations. ABC's Mary Bruce in West Palm Beach, Florida tonight.
You say something?
I was just saying video quality is definitely better this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. He should go to retirement jail. Yeah, I mean, yeah, rich people don't go to jail, but it'd be nice,
Tonight, President-elect Donald Trump confirming once he takes office, he will declare a national emergency and use the military to help carry out his plans for mass deportations of undocumented immigrants. Today, his new pick for border czar, Tom Homan, saying criminals will be the first to go.
We'll prioritize public safety threats and national security threats because they pose the biggest danger to the United States.
Homan says he's heading down to Mar-a-Lago this week to put the, quote, final touches on a plan, but acknowledges there are many unanswered questions about how Trump's policy will actually work, including how much it will cost.
So I've been asked 1,000 times, how many people can you remove the first year? Well, how many agents do I have? How many buses do I have? How much money do I have for airplanes, right? Can DOD assist? Because DOD can take off our plate. So there's a lot of what ifs. I don't know what the current budget is right now. I don't have insight on what currently ICE and CBP has for budget. How much money can be reprogrammed? I can tell you this, President Trump's committed to whatever he can to get us the money we need.
As Trump works to launch his top policy goal, he's also fighting to get his controversial cabinet choices confirmed. In addition to the firestorm surrounding his attorney general pick, Matt Gaetz, there are growing questions about his choice for defense.
By the way, Matt Gaetz did withdraw. It's just that this was filmed like 4 days ago, so he hadn't really withdrawn yet. So that's why there's controversy with Matt Gaetz, attorney general pick. No, he's just filmed like 4 days ago. That's why.
Defense Secretary, Fox News host Pete Hegseth. Hegseth's attorney now acknowledges he paid a financial settlement to a woman who accused him of sexual assault in 2017. Hegseth's lawyer says the encounter with the woman was actually consensual, but that Hegseth paid her anyway because he believed, quote, any public accusation would result in his immediate termination from Fox. Sources say Trump was only made aware of the incident after he had already named Hegseth to lead the Pentagon. And tonight, his team saying Hegseth has vigorously denied any and all accusations and no charges were filed. We look forward to his confirmation. Over the weekend, the president-elect out surrounded by members of his new team at an Ultimate Fighting Championship event. including his pick for Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, billionaire Elon Musk, who's been tasked to lead a new Department of Government Efficiency, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who Trump has tapped to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Kennedy, who has railed against processed foods and criticized Trump's diet, seen in this photo enjoying a meal of McDonald's on the plane with the president-elect. Leading health experts continue to sound the alarm about Kennedy and his deep skepticism of vaccinations. Today, Caroline Kennedy, daughter of former President John F. Kennedy, calling her cousin's stance dangerous.
I think Bobby Kennedy's views on vaccines are dangerous, but I don't think that most Americans share them. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Tonight, Donald Trump is standing by his controversial cabinet picks, undeterred by these growing concerns. So the question remains, can they get enough support in the Senate to be confirmed? And if not, will Trump urge lawmakers to forego their vetting responsibilities so he can get these through via those recess appointments? But David, there is no doubt tonight Senate Republicans are under tremendous pressure. David.
Yeah, a lot of questions about where this goes from here, Mary Bruce.
I need to hear from the Ken doll again. But yeah,
And
I mean,
you were talking about Matt Gaetz resigning. For those who don't know, Pam Bondi, Bondi, I think that's her last name. She replaced Gaetz.
So she's a new attorney general pick. She has to get through confirmation, but I would expect it wouldn't be a problem because she is.
No, I looked at their her birth year. She's almost 60. She looks younger than 60.
Wow, I thought she was in her 50s. I mean, her 40s even. I didn't never guess 60, but wow. I mean, she looks good for 60 or nearly 60. But all right, so this is another report from CBS, and what's interesting is is what Donald Trump intending to do legal? Nobody knows. Depends how they do this, because declaring a national emergency can mean anything. You know, it's like, oh yeah, national emergency. Shoot.
Why does she look constipated or whatever she's doing?
Well, I mean, that's the way it's paused there, but
I know.
Government data show.
Yeah, but let's see. So I don't know whether it's legal or not. So we'll see, because using the military technically cannot operate within the U.S. borders. It's illegal and unconstitutional on top of that. But if you're going to use, that's why they're trying to get around it now by saying, oh, well, we're going to use the National Guard. We're going to deputize the National Guard to help with deportations. We're going to do this, that, and the third. So even Trump and the administration is kind of like backing away from the whole military thing. But using the National Guard is kind of like the military anyways. So it's like, it's a different branch of the military, but technically not military. So it's like, okay, well, we're going to use the National Guard. We're not using the military, but kind of the same thing though.
Shows illegal migrant crossings at the southern border remained under 60,000 for the fourth consecutive month. U.S. Customs and Border Protection numbers confirm CBS News reporting from earlier this month that nearly 57,000 migrants were apprehended between legal entry points in October. Encounters at the border have dropped more than 55% since President Biden's executive order limiting asylum was put in place in June. But U.S. border policy is poised to undergo a dramatic transformation once President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January. Earlier this week, Trump indicated in a Truth Social post he would declare a national emergency and utilize the U.S. military assets to carry out mass deportations of undocumented migrants. So far, it's unclear how the president-elect would use these military assets and whether his plans are legal. CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez joins us now for more. And Camilo, you have new reporting on this, these questions that are still circling around this. Can you elaborate?
There are a lot of legal questions, Lindsay, as to how the incoming administration can use the U.S. military to carry out this promise of mass deportations, the largest deportation operation in American history. Incoming border czar Tom Homan has told 60 Minutes that the Department of Defense, for example, could help immigration and customs enforcement on an operational capacity by providing military planes to deport undocumented immigrants and by providing other transportation assets. That is very similar to how how, for example, the military currently is helping Customs and Border Protection at the U.S.-Mexico border through logistical and operational help. But other folks like Stephen Miller, who is the incoming White House Deputy Chief of Staff and an immigration hardliner, have indicated that there are plans to deputize the National Guard to go across the country to find and arrest unauthorized immigrants. And also,
this is the way they're going to get around it. Like, oh, well, we're going to deputize the National Guard and have them, round up immigrants. So it's not really the military. Don't worry.
Doesn't he kind of look
to deploy the U.S.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Doesn't he kind of look like Manny Machado a little bit?
He does, but I didn't even think of that until you mentioned it. But yeah, he does.
Military to physically stop people from claiming asylum at the border. Whether that's actually legal, Lindsay, is unclear because federal law dating back to the post-Civil War era actually prohibits the use of the military for domestic law enforcement. Of course, that includes the enforcement of federal immigration law.
Okay. Texas officials have offered more than 1,400 acres of land, its own borderland, to Trump so that the administration it's state-owned, rather, so the administration can build deportation facilities. I mean, this sounds like something that would be a costly possible endeavor, a lengthy endeavor. How would that work?
Sure. So the land commissioner in Texas has effectively offered the Department of Homeland Security and the incoming Trump administration land in Stark County, Texas, near the U.S.-Mexico border, just across the Rio Grande, to basically set up facilities to detain and hold immigrants who are awaiting deportation as part of this massive deportation operation. How long that would take depends on what type of facility we are talking about, Lindsay. It could be what the government calls a soft-sided facility, which is essentially a tent facility that can be set up pretty quickly to hold people. Another legal and political question is whether Texas also allows the incoming administration to deputize state troopers, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and the Texas National Guard to carry out immigration enforcement. Based on how much the governor has been supportive of President-elect Trump and how much he has done on immigration, I think that is likely.
U.S. officials told you there could be a spike in illegal crossings between now, I guess, and inauguration. Why is that? Why do they feel that way?
Well, they believe that many smugglers who control migration along the U.S.-Mexico border in many respects...
Control meaning the message and the money.
And the movement of people, too, the illicit movement of people. They will tell migrants that the time to cross is now before President-elect Trump takes office, because he will reinstate policies like the Remain in Mexico program that requires migrants to await their asylum hearings in Mexico on the other side of the U.S.-Mexico border, and that the incoming administration is going to make it much harder for asylum seekers and migrants to stay in the U.S. So far, that spike, we should note, has not materialized, Lindsay, but we still obviously have a couple weeks left.
Okay, Camila Montoya Galvez, thank you.
Of course, that spike's coming. You're already seeing it. I mean, there's already reports of how the border is being, people are crossing. So it's like, yeah, there you go. No need for that ad. I gotta play that, but I digress. So there you go. More. We're gonna get a repeat of 2016 and 2020. Immigration still an issue. So yeah, we got a few angry posts here on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Trump confirmed in a through social post that he will declare a national emergency, use the military.
He's a 2024 DNC delegate.
You have been warned, Latinos. I hate you. So yeah, this is a DNC delegate. I didn't even see that until you said that. I looked at it. Oh yeah. So it's even worse. He's just a Democrat. But let's see.
I don't think people realize what's about to go down after January. And this is why I am so frustrated with Latinos. This is crazy. And it will not just affect, our light-skinned, fair-skinned Latinos. This will impact Africans. This will impact Haitians. This will impact our Afro-Latino brothers and sisters. And we will see all people just getting stopped on the street. What are they going to do? Go door to door? They have names, we know what that sounds like, right? They're going to go door to door and they're going to check people's houses to make sure that they are legal Is my dad going to have to walk around with his passport just to show that he is a U.S. citizen? Like, what the fuck are we even doing? Like, I hate cursing on here, but honestly, this is the shit that y'all voted for. This is crazy. And I need y'all to understand this is going to cost like $8 billion. When you deport the people, where are you going to put them? Where you're gonna have like a large just base of people on some kind of military base that you're just gonna put a whole bunch of people, like millions of people, and then you're gonna decide that you're gonna determine if they are truly citizens or not citizens. What police department is gonna do this? Is it gonna be local police or is it gonna be the feds? Who is gonna do this? Or if the blue states don't cooperate with this, then what? You're gonna hold funding from them? Like, this is about to be some crazy shit. And I wish I could just sit back and be like, you know what? I'm gonna laugh at these people, but it's not gonna be funny. It's really not gonna be funny. It's gonna be really fucked up. And Trump is gonna do it. They are going to do it. So and the sad part is that Latinos have lost so much faith with other community, especially the Black community, that no one is going to feel sympathy for them. No one. And what does this mean for people? Trump says this is about the criminals, the people that are coming illegally across the border. Okay, but does that include, what does that include? Are you just looking for gang members? I don't think, there's not a million gang members running around who are Latino. They're going to be targeting people that have green cards. I am sure of this. He literally said he was going back to 1798. 1798 means that if they put that in action, that means he can literally deport people that have a green card that are non-U.S. citizens. Stupid as hell for voting for this man.
Well, there you go.
So somebody let this woman know that Obama and Biden were the one that built the cages, and that Biden has deported more than Trump has. So
yeah, but she argued at one point there. Well, blue states are not going to cooperate with this, and it's like, well, they really don't need to now. If they intend to use the National Guard and federal agents, you really don't need the blue states to cooperate. It'd be nice, it'd be easier for them, but they don't really need it anymore if that's the intention. So this isn't going to work. And this is the reason why Democrats always support more illegals than Republicans, because the blue states cooperate with Democrat administrations. It happened during Obama. It happened during Biden. I mean, they cooperate. The blue states cooperate more because there's a Democrat in office. So it's like, okay, well, it gives us political cover. Now, as soon as Trump gets into office, all of a sudden a lot of these blue states, oh no, we won't cooperate. No, we're a sanctuary state or a sanctuary city, depending on where you're at in the country. So it's like, and I think I saw this is right before Trump's first term. The LA sheriff, the Los Angeles sheriff went on TV and said, well, they asked him, will you cooperate with Trump the way you did with Obama? And he's like, no, I won't. And he's like, wait, but you're doing it with Obama. It's like, well, I trust Obama. I don't trust Trump. And it's like, what kind of logic is that? It's like, well, I mean, I trust Obama, but I don't trust Trump, so I won't let him, do what I've been doing for 8 years under Obama. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like there's this partisan hat.
It's like that Mexican president in 2016. I don't remember who that was, but he said, "I'm not going to pay for that fucking wall,"
That's the wrong one. But that was Vicente Fox. He's a former president of Mexico. But I mean, these people are just, as soon as Democrats get into office, you know what Biden did, by the way? Oh yeah, he continued to build Trump's wall. Mm-hmm. He approved more funding than Trump did.
Continue it.
Yeah, they were planning on, and Kamala was going to put that in overdrive, the wall. So if she got elected, and then she also campaigned on the border bill, which Trump and the Republicans got killed, or not got killed. The Republicans and Trump killed. So that was what they were campaigning on. Like, oh yeah, we're going to be even more hawkish on immigration than Donald Trump was. No wonder why they lost, because people don't believe them. It's like, well, Trump is the one, who's the real hawk on this. We want him. We don't want some fake Democrat trying to pretend like they're fucking Republicans. So this is from Fox. 1,000+ migrants form new caravan in Mexico. So let's see what this is.
Welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. We're switching gears to turn our attention to the southern border here. Take a look at some of this video. Well, this is what we know. There's been a lot of talk surrounding President-elect Trump's mass deportation plans. And now a new group of 1,500 people is headed to the southern U.S. border, reportedly trying to get there before Trump's second term begins. So for more on this new caravan, we're going to be joined by Auden Cabello. He's an independent journalist who covers the border and immigration, and he joins me. Auden, thanks for being with us here. I know you cover this very, very closely. I wanted to ask, though, where is this group now on their journey?
Yeah, so this is the sixth caravan that has left since Claudia Sheinbaum became president of Mexico. 5 have left Tapachula and 1 left Tuxtla Gutierrez, all in the state of Chiapas. This particular one left this morning out of Tapachula. And their goal is to reach central Mexico, more specifically Mexico City, which is a sanctuary city. And just north of there, that's where they hop on the freight train, La Bestia. And that's how they make it to border towns like Piedras Negras and cross to Eagle Pass, something we saw in all of 2023 when we saw those mass groups crossing there. They were all arriving on train to Piedras Negras by the hundreds and occasionally by the thousands. And talking to some of these migrants in these caravans, now that they've realized that President Trump is coming into office, it's having the effect that was somewhat unexpected. They're not going to go back to their country of origin. They feel the pressure of making it to the U.S. border and into the U.S. Before Inauguration Day, hoping that they can still make it under the Biden administration and be accepted into the country.
Okay, but with that logic, though, President-elect Donald Trump has said that every person here illegally and undocumented will be deported by however way or means there. That's words from President-elect Trump. So based on that logic, why are they still coming? Why are these people still forming these caravans, trying to get to the United States with those designs, with those plans being put in place here? Stephen Miller, who's going to be a key policy advisor in the next Trump term, said on Fox News a couple of days ago that this is priority number 1 on day 1. So why?
Yeah, so I've been to Tapachula and I've spoken to a lot of these migrants and gotten to know their thinking, their thought process. And Tapachula is ground zero for the migrants. And there's a differentiation that needs.
That's the thing, though. I mean, it's like they're desperately trying to get here before Trump gets into office. And again, it's like you're going to just get grabbed and deported instantly. So it's like just because you come in here doesn't mean. Here's the thing. Usually, in order to declare asylum, you have to go to port of entries. And just crossing the border illegally in a random spot doesn't mean you get to declare asylum. But the U.S. is letting him get away with it for reasons. Because, like, hey, look, it's political. You know, we don't want these people. You know, we don't want to be Trump. So it's like, okay, let's just let them all in.
And I just want to say one other thing. So I just saw some breaking news about an hour ago from Politico. Trump has hired hedge fund manager Scott Bessent to be his Treasury secretary. So just wanted to point that out.
Well, there you go, another Wall Street guy running the Treasury Department. So that's not surprising. I mean, no matter which party's in charge, they always end up with some sort of Wall Street, Wall Street guy running it. So nothing changed.
Needs to be made there in Tapachula with the migrants. There's some that once you know where they're coming from and their economic status, you know where they're going to cross and how they're going to cross. So, for example, those with the resources will pay the organized crime, and most of them were crossing. They were flying into border towns like Mexicali, Monterrey, and they would cross in different border towns. The ones we're seeing in caravans, they're the poorest of the poor. They've sold whatever they had back in their country of origin. They don't have anything. And that's why they're going from shelter to shelter, NGO to NGO. And at this point, they sold everything. And their thinking is, I have no other goal in life right now than to make it into the U.S. and give it a shot. And if I get deported, well, then it's going to be on their dime, meaning the U.S. taxpayer is going to pay for it, and they don't have to go back with their resources. That's their logic. That's their thinking.
Wow.
And right now they're running out of time, and that's why they're going to make a mad rush to the border, something that I've been reporting.
Yeah, Auden, I want to talk about the numbers. Roughly 1,500 here is being reported. And it can be hard to kind of ballpark the number by just looking at some of the video here. Is there the possibility that some of these individuals here don't make it, that they just stay in Mexico? And where are they coming from? It's not just Mexico, other countries, right?
Yes, the majority is Latin America. A lot of Venezuelans are still part of these caravans. And just to keep in mind, Tapachula is still receiving up to 1,000 migrants a day. And it's overcrowded in Tapachula. And these caravans also, they're making it to other small towns in Chiapas. Some right now, like we said, they're trying to make it to Mexico City, to the shelters. Initially, they've been doing that all year. And processing their CBP-1, but right now it's so many of them trying to do that application that it's crashing the system. They're getting frustrated. They're getting impatient, and now that's why there's this urgent rush to get to the border.
So I wanted to talk about as well if there is any, leadership structure to these caravans. Is there any organization, or is it kind of an amorphous blob of people? I mean, who's in charge here? I guess my question is.
Yeah, so in Tapachula, you have individuals like Luis Villagran. He has an NGO, an organization. He's been organizing some of these caravans, but once they leave Tapachula, he'll stay back and pretty much organize the next one. And then from there, these caravans, a natural leader will come out of there and kind of lead. And that's why they're leaving as a caravan they say it's to protect themselves from organized crime. And they're also being escorted by the National Guard, usually the Red Cross, just to provide any assistance. So they're not completely alone. There's still some guidance there that they're being led and protected.
So what will their claims be? Are these quote-unquote asylum seekers? Can they make a verifiable, valid asylum claim, or no? Are they just hoping their chances are good to cross illegally once they get there, and if they get there?
Yeah, so we've been seeing the reports that they're not properly being vetted, not even under CBP-1. And under the Biden administration, they've been let into the country. And that's still their belief that, their days are counted and they're limited. And that's this urgency that they can still get in.
Okay.
Whether it was under CBP-1 or crossing illegally and then claiming asylum, they were still being let into the country. So that's their thinking, and that's why they're moving north.
All right, Auden Cabello, thanks for joining us, and thanks for sharing us the video that you shot there in parts of Mexico, documenting this most recent caravan. We'll check in soon.
Mexico, but yeah, I mean, there it is, another caravan, bringing it up. Let's see. Here's an idea. Why don't you stop fucking with Venezuela? Yep, that'd be easier. That's one of the things, but nope. That's never going to happen because they love it. So, yeah, I mean, there it is. We have Venezuela. We have, pretty sure a lot of them are coming from Central America, Venezuela, or, even some Mexicans. But for the most part, they're coming from Central and South America. So, there you go. So, now we don't know how much this is going to cost us to get rid of as many of these people as we can. Is at this point it's going to happen one way or another. So they're going one way, because under Trump it's like, even if they have to use the armed forces or National Guard or whatever, and I'm sure that you guys let me see, I just saw it here. Yeah, Steph said, this is what I was talking about with Snow, how digital IDs will be introduced. It wouldn't be, again, I mean, that's something that's definitely a possibility. But yeah, I mean, here we go. So, let's see. MSNBC is up for sale. We talked about this briefly last week, but apparently Elon Musk is seriously asking around how much it's going to cost. So it's like, so he's put it on X, like, oh yeah, how much is going to cost? You know, I'm not sure how serious he is, but I'm just saying, you know, I mean, there's throwing possibility out there that Elon Musk might end up with MSNBC at some point. So, question is, what are we going to do? What he's going to do with it? Because most likely we're looking at a situation where most of these hosts on the network will either have to conform or get fired. Conform to Elon Musk's, you know, views or get fired. So, I also saw, where is it? Somewhere that Rachel Maddow agreed to take a pay cut on her contract. So that's interesting. Not sure you heard that, but
not surprising.
Oops, because I saw it on X. You know that they're here. Yeah, MSNBC's Rachel Maddow's salary reportedly cut by $5 million, despite being ratings Viagra. That's an interesting way to put it by the New York Post, but whatever.
Viagra.
Rachel, even the Daily Beast, which is like a Democrat Party rag, that Rachel Maddow takes pay cut with MSNBC future in jeopardy. Huh. Mm-hmm. So what? They're gonna actually be considering firing her? That's something that's like her future's in question. Like, what does that mean? They're actually gonna fire their top rated host? I mean,
don't forget when Max Blumenthal confronted her at the event. What was it, a year ago or something like that?
Yeah, she's like, she's like, who is this guy? You know, she knew who Max Blumenthal is, but she was acting like she didn't know who he was. Rachel Maddow takes pay cut with MSNBC's future in jeopardy. Oh, MSNBC is like the networks, yeah, because Comcast is put up for sale apparently, so they're even so. The star host will now make $25 million a year, a $5 million decrease through a network. Though a network disputed the number, so the network's denying the pay cut, but all the indication is she did agree to a pay cut. MSNBC star Rachel Maddow is taking a $5 million pay cut amid growing uncertainty about the channel's future. The Ankler reported Thursday. I have no idea what the Ankler is, but it's probably some kind of rag there for what? Oh, these freaking ads. Right, Maddow, who currently makes $30 million a year at the network, renegotiated for $25 million a year for the next 5 years. The source of the network told Daily Beast that this reported salary is not accurate, though did not provide another figure. So it's like, oh no, it's not true. This is a difficult time. They needed to keep her. No one else does what she does. You can't build a overnight. One executive told the Ankler. So the MSNBC executive was like, "Oh yeah, we had to keep her. You know, I mean, nobody does what she does.
Why? So we can hear more Russiagate bullshit from her."
Yeah, that's you know. It's like, oh yeah, we had to keep her because reasons because she gives us ratings. That's basically what he's trying to say, but he didn't directly say it like that. Comcast, the owner of MSNBC or NBC Universal. What is it with these ads?
That's why you gotta install AdBlock Plus or any of those.
Comcast, the owner of Comcast, the owner of NBC Universal, plans to spin off several NBC channels like MSNBC and CNBC into their own company. NBC Universal chairman Mark Lazarus is currently heading the effort. It's expected to be completed by the end of 2025, called SpinCo. Wait. So the new company that's going to have MSNBC and CNBC is going to be called SpinCo. That's not a SpinCo. Like they spin the news, for Democrats. I mean, they're just giving the game away. Like, oh yeah, I mean we do spin here. We don't do real news here.
Who would have known with Trump's win it would affect the mainstream media?
Oh yeah, I mean. MSNBC's ratings have gone into a cliff since the election, and it's not going back up, even with all the fear mongering the network's doing on Trump. Unless you're Mika Brzezinski or Joe Scarborough, then you're going to go to Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ass, basically. But everybody else at the network is kind of melting down. The channel is currently at a crossroads following President-elect Donald Trump's victory. According to Nielsen data, the ratings dipped to 40% less than what they were at this time last year. Through executives are counting on viewers to come back the way they did in 2016 when Trump administration gets underway. Again, that I would not be surprised if ratings go back up because you're going to have the wine mom liberals, needing to watch MSNBC in order to get their Orange Man bad coverage.
Yeah.
Producers are also grappling with how to platform conservative voices at the only safe space for a liberal TV audience, one MSNBC insider put it. So I guess Comcast is telling MSNBC they got to have more conservatives on. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but because it has to be, because the producers are grappling with how to platform conservatives as the only safe place for liberal TV audience. So it has to be coming from Comcast. Like, you have to put more conservatives on your air. So we'll see what happens with that. But also, ABC is kind of trying to hire more real conservatives for The View, because they have like two of them, but they're all like, they agree with Whoopi Goldberg pretty much. So they're not really even conservative. So it's like an echo chamber over there at The View. So now ABC is like, we got to hire real conservatives here who will oppose these.
Isn't Anna Navarro a conservative?
Yeah, she worked in the Reagan administration, but she's basically turned into an anti-Trump Democrat now. So she pretty much agrees with everything that Whoopi Goldberg and the liberals say.
Yeah.
So it's like an echo chamber over there at The View. It's supposed to be conservatives and liberals, 3 and 3, but it's like, I think there's only one that occasionally like kind of defends Republicans. Like one, I forget her name, but she's usually in like the right-hand corner. The rest of them is just completely like in the tank and anti-Orange Man bad. But let's see. We were so Harris propaganda that when she lost, viewers were shocked. One on-air pundit said, "It turned into one giant circle jerk, and echo chamber. If MSNBC wants to be a service to viewers, they can't keep them in Fantasyland." So yeah, that's true. MSNBC was a complete Harris propaganda outlet and circle jerk. I mean, it's perfect. So MSNBC, their staff, they know what they're doing, but they're not like they're self-aware. They know what they're doing. It's just that now that Trump has lost or Trump has won, they kind of like, what do we do now? Like, that's why the audience disappeared. It's not just MSNBC. It's a lot of online liberal media. Like, we saw David Pacman crying recently, how he lost all his subscribers. You remember? We saw Brian Taylor Cohen. That guy lost a bunch of subscribers. I mean, they were all like,
been on a meltdown ever since Trump won. Still happening today.
He's completely lost his mind.
Yeah.
Let's see. During the first Trump administration, MSNBC elevated Democrats who speak Republican, reported the anchor Nicole Wallace. Now the network isn't sure how to engage with the Star Wars freak shows, a Trump new appointee. One producer says, "I don't know whether having these people on will put any useful information out," the producer added. So it seems like they're kind of fighting, putting on more conservatives on MSNBC. Still, viewers can expect to see plenty of Maddow, and one executive calling her ratings Viagra. So basically, that's an MSNBC executive saying that. So, okay. It was a New York Post. Under her new deal, Maddow will continue to anchor her Monday night show, and also produce podcasts and documentaries. The network is also planning to deploy her as a secret weapon on other shows when there's breaking news. Along with Maddow, MSNBC relies on at least 3 other personalities to keep viewers tuning in. Nicole Wallace, who anchors Deadline, White House; Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski of Morning Joe, who recently came under fire when they went to Mar-a-Lago to break bread with Trump. So the stars of the network.
Watch MSNBC hire Mike Pence.
So the stars of the network, according to MSNBC, is Rachel Maddow, Nicole Wallace, and Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski. That's their 4 like main stars. It's like, oh wow, that's so 2 of them are former Republicans, Joe Scarborough and Nicole Wallace. Mm-hmm. The other 2, Mika Brzezinski's a Democrat and Rachel Maddow's Democrat. So it's like 2 and 2, So yeah, it's I was surprised, but Joe Scarborough ratings have gone, into the shitter. Have you seen this? Because most of the MSNBC audience is pissed because they went to suck up to Trump, basically. So I don't know how much longer they're going to be stars. Because apparently, I've read they make $10 million a year each, Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough. So if they're not getting any ratings, I
And I
don't
would
know.
like to be paid that amount.
It's so MSNBC staffers in a panic after NBC parent company Comcast plans to spin off channel. Yeah, so they're going to spin it off and probably sell the spin off company. So yeah, the futures are in doubt at MSNBC. Depends who buys it. If Elon Musk ends up with it, then MSNBC will be completely different. Be fascinating to see what the network ends up being. But yeah, let's see.
Upset like AEW ratings.
Which he says like AEW ratings. Yeah, I mean they're it's not that bad, not yet, as far as I know. Maybe it will get that bad, but right now, I mean, comedian news networks way more better news than actually tell you the truth more. Yeah, kind of on the nose. Thank you. Getting taken over by Jimmy Dore and a lot of other alternative news networks. That's MSNBC, you know what I mean? And that's not just MSNBC. Also, CNN is really struggling too. So Fox News is Fox News. They've been number one for so long that, you just assume they're number one.
I mean, even News Nation is becoming at least just a bit more reliable than CNN.
That's the thing with News Nation. I mean, it's come out of nowhere lately to not we're not talking about they do great coverage, but at times, there's like, oh, that's not bad,
Yeah.
And we also have Piers Morgan's show, the Uncensored show, which is like Jerry Springer for political commentators.
That's a conservative program, though.
Yeah, I know. The channel he's on is owned by Rupert Murdoch, so I know it's a right wing channel, but but I'm saying, it's like the Jerry Springer of political commentary. So if you're
Kyle Kowinski got destroyed in his Piers Morgan segment.
Yeah, he did. I'll get to that a little later if we have time, but I do want to get to that because just real quick though, he appeared on Piers Morgan's show I think a couple of days ago. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. And Piers Morgan was like, "Well, we've been trying to get you on for a while, Kyle, and now you finally come on, and we appreciate it." And apparently, they've been reaching out to him for a while, and either he's blown him off or ignored it. I don't know, but he finally got on, and he got his ass kicked by Piers Morgan. I mean, it was like, really, you got your ass? He ran circles around you, and what's funny is I'll get to this later. I will get to it more, but Kyle did a 25-minute video explaining why. Oh no, I'm the one that beat Piers Morgan, and he didn't do anything to me. I'm like,
yeah, he's sounding like Trump.
Yeah, it's like he can't take an L. Instead, he's like, oh, what? No, I mean, he didn't beat me. I beat him. Let me see.
It's like that clip I've posted before where he says, "Can you stop embarrassing yourself, please? This isn't working, and it's not going to work."
Not gonna. I saw it here. Where is it? By the way, the title is in the third person. Kyle dismantles Piers Morgan to his face. So it's posted in the third person. I don't know whether Kyle himself does his titles or somebody else does them, but like it's in the third person. If he wrote this himself, I mean, it's weird. Because usually you would have put, I dismantle Piers Morgan to his face, or not Kyle, like somebody else wrote it. I'm hoping somebody else wrote this, and he just pays somebody to do his titles and his videos for him, because if he did it himself, he put himself in the third person, which is weird. But yeah, the title is Kyle dismantles Piers Morgan to his face. I'm like, no, he didn't. I watched that clip. I watched that entire episode because that's the same episode where Cenk Uygur and Alan Lichtman got into their fight.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. So those two fights, so like that same episode. But I saw that episode. And again, people might go, why do you watch Piers Morgan? I'm like, well, it's like a train wreck. Once you put it on, you can't look away. So it's
and
like,
then Mavigilin got destroyed.
Oh yeah, she got eviscerated too. Not just by Piers Morgan, but everybody on the panel. I mean, she got her ass kicked, and then she wouldn't shut up. Did you see that?
Exactly. Yeah, I remember she kept talking over and over.
She wouldn't shut the hell up. I'm like, take your L and shut up. I mean, it's like she just kept yelling, and like the more she yelled, the more she acted like she was right, and she wasn't. It's like it got so bad that Piers Morgan even said, "Do I have to mute you?" And he never says that.
Yeah.
He never says that, even to Jank when he's melting down on his show, or any other of these liberals melt down on his show. He never threatens to mute them.
Could you stop talking? Do I have to mute you?
Yes. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, Fox was too liberals for Newsmax. Yeah, I mean, Newsmax is insanely right-wing. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
Holy shit. So, yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later, though, but we got to get to Russia now.
No.
We got to get to Russia because what the Biden administration is doing is just unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are literally giving like missiles to Ukraine and giving permission to the Ukrainian government to fire missiles into Russian territory, like directly into Russian territory. I mean, it's like,
and then Bernie Sanders, the squad, and all the other Justice Democrats who supported that.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, they're not going now. As soon as Trump enters office, now
we can't have this war, you know.
Yeah, and Trump has a mess on his hands because it's like, oh yeah, I mean, just bombed Russian territory, and Putin now sent an interballistic missile, to bomb Ukraine. So those are worse, So this is escalating rather quickly here, this conflict, and it's Joe Biden's fault. And on top of that, he also approved use of landmines. So the Ukrainians are installing landmines, so to kill Russians in that way. Even though initially he said no, you can't use landmines. Now he's like, oh yeah, of course, use landmines. It's not gonna be my problem. It's Donald Trump's problem, anyways, in like a month. So yeah, you kill as many Russians as you can. So it's Trump's mess to figure out now. It's not my problem. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the conflict is getting worse.
Did you mute yourself?
No.
Oh,
did you not hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Because no, I did not mute myself. All right, so now the Russians are threatening to hit U.S. bases in Poland. And the reason why this is so bad is because Poland's part of NATO. And if they attack in Poland's territory, which technically they'd be attacking the U.S., not Poland, but the way that U.S. and NATO would say, oh, well, you attacked NATO, so now we have to invoke Article 5, which means World War III would start, because every nation in NATO would have to attack Russia at that point. And then the Chinese would get behind Russia, and then we got a shitstorm on our hands. It's going to be a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And now our troops going to have to fight them, and God forbid if somebody presses that red button for a nuclear strike, because somebody's going to do it.
Yeah.
Whether it be us or the Chinese or the Russians or Pakistan also has nukes. I'm not sure that India has nuke. I don't think they have nukes. I know Israel has nukes, even though they claim they don't, but it's pretty much a well-known secret that Israel has nukes. So a lot of countries, North Korea has nukes. Let's not forget about that too. Those psychopaths have nukes. So yeah, just hope nobody presses the red button. I don't want World War III, and I don't want anybody pressing that red button, because we all got plenty of lives to live here. So we can't. But yeah, I don't think the Russians would ultimately strike at Poland because it's too much of a risk. Because the Chinese have come out and said, "Oh yeah, we got to stop this." What the hell? You basically like, "Oh yeah, let's end the hostilities. Come on, let's not make this any worse." So I'm not sure whether China is really going to side with Russia in this if they keep pushing. So it's kind of like they're trying to be neutral here. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully we won't find out, because if we have to find out, that means that we're closing in on World War III quicker than. Actually, no, we're entering World War III pretty quickly. I've heard some people say we're already in World War III, but it's like not technically, because the superpowers not attack each other directly. So we're still in that proxy war era where we have proxy wars in Ukraine. There's all these proxy wars going on, but the superpowers won't attack each other directly. And because of mutually assured destruction, they never will. Hopefully, they never will. Because it's like they're too scared of, being destroyed. Because no matter what, people that are in power and wealthy don't want to die. And yes, are they setting up to protect themselves just in case? Of course. I mean, there's underground bunkers all over the countries. So, yeah, of course they are. But they prefer not to spend 100 years underground or whatever it takes for the nuclear fallout to end. So, yeah, but let's see this. Let's watch. This is News Nation, by the way. I just realized that. So we're just talking about them. But
But first, we begin here. The White House warns that escalation is coming at every turn from Russia as Moscow.
Wait, whose fault is it? The White House is like, oh yeah, I mean Russia's escalating like crazy immediately. It's like, whose fault is it?
Russia.
It's your fault. You're the one that's giving Ukraine all these intercontinental ballistic missiles. Like, here, attack Russia. Oh shit, the Russians are the one that are escalating this thing. Like, no, you're the one escalating, and Russia's responding. It's ridiculous.
Moscow sends a dangerous new warning to Western countries helping Ukraine. A Russian spokesperson now threatens that a U.S. anti-missile base in Poland is a, quote, priority target. This after Russia fires a missile capable of holding a nuclear warhead into Ukraine for the first time in this war. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and FBI Director Christopher Wray skipped a Senate global threats hearing yesterday, saying they would prefer a classified briefing instead. News Nation's Tom Dempsey has the latest from Washington this morning. Tom, Russia is turning up the heat here. So what more do we know about their escalating threats?
Hey, good morning, Marky. This actually marked the first time ever in war Russian forces used this experimental and intermediate range missile to target a city in Ukraine. And footage actually captured the moments of this missile raining down on this city in Ukraine. It targeted a Ukrainian military facility in the city of Dnipro. This is a missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. The Russian President Vladimir Putin saying it can travel at 10 times the speed of sound and can be fitted with multiple warheads, including nuclear ones that can hit multiple targets. Russia saying it warned.
This is obviously a threat from Russia. It's like, you keep fucking with us, we will put nuclear warheads in this missile, and we will do this. So it's like it's definitely an attempt to basically tell the U.S. to back off, because we will use these missiles, and these missiles have the capability of carrying nuclear warheads. So look out! Don't mess with us. This is Russia kind of putting out their chest, like, you don't want this fight.
Warned the United States 30 minutes before launching this missile. But Putin saying this new missile could be used to attack any Ukrainian ally whose missiles are used to attack Russia. And of course, this comes after Ukraine used American, French, and British missiles to strike military targets inside Russia for the first time ever, starting this week. New reports say in one of those strikes with those Western missiles, Ukraine wounded a senior North Korean general who was serving in Russia. And this morning...
Shit. Are you kidding me? They severely injured a North Korean general in Russia? Like, what the hell are you doing? That's the last people I want to piss off. I mean, Kim Jong-un is kind of a psycho. You know what I mean?
I'm sure Brian Williams is guided by the beauty of those missiles.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, but I didn't even know that. It's like, oh, are you kidding me? You injured a North Korean general, one of those missiles, and Jesus Christ.
This morning, a new U.S. missile base in Poland is facing threats from Russia, with a Russian spokesperson saying it's a priority target for potential neutralization in case of all-out war. Now, no nuclear weapons are stationed at this U.S. base, according to Polish military leaders. Its purpose is supposed to be a defensive and is focused on taking out short to intermediate range missiles, just like the one Russia just tested. It's not clear how many troops are based there, but there are about 10,000 U.S. soldiers stationed in Poland. You get a sense of this war escalating even more this morning, Marky. Russian President Vladimir Putin blaming the United States for escalating the war, but President Biden repeating statements he's made over the past few months and years, for that matter, with this conflict, saying that if Russia were to pull their troops out of Ukraine, that would mean the end of the war. Marky?
Yeah, and then on the same day that Russia...
And they would pull their troops out if there's an agreement not for Ukraine not to join NATO. In the Biden administration, it says that's a no-go. So it's like, then of course they're going to stay. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's like, all they want is assurances that Ukraine's never going to join NATO. It's that simple. And it's like, oh, no, we're not going to do that. Then, of course, this war is going to continue. It's like Biden's blaming Russia. Russia's like, no, well, if you guys don't escalate, this won't be an issue. But it's like, then of course the media is like, oh well, it's Putin says it's U.S.'s fault. Biden says it's Russia's fault, and we are not going to tell you the truth whose fault it actually is. But
by the way, the only reliable Ukrainian account on X that you should follow, I don't know if you're familiar with the woman. It's Diana Pacheco, I believe that's how you pronounce her name.
Yeah, I think I follow her.
Yeah.
This is crypto. Just going to aid war and digital ID. Is it fair to regard Charles Hopkinson and the crypto industry as warmongers? I mean, if you're pro-war, then you're a warmonger. Hey CBC, thank you for joining us. Let's finish this off.
Russia launches this missile. You have Mayorkas and Ray who are no-shows. So what more do we know about the controversy from the House Homeland Security hearing, Tom?
Yeah, it can be rare for Republicans and Democrats to agree and show the same emotion, but we saw outrage from both sides of the aisle when Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and FBI Director Christopher Wray didn't show up for this annual hearing detailing threats to national security here in the United States. Again, this is an annual hearing that's held at the Capitol with some of the top leaders in defense. The committee says it's the first time in at least 15 years, the agency heads have refused to appear publicly for the annual hearing. And this annual hearing in the Senate focuses, like I said, on foreign and domestic threats. Both the FBI and Department of Homeland Security released similar statements, with the FBI writing, quote, FBI leaders believe the committee would benefit most from further discussions and additional information that can only be provided in a classified setting. That was their take on all this, saying that this should be a classified meeting. But again, Democrats, like the chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, saying that Americans deserve transparency and knowing more information about these threats.
Both the FBI, Homeland Security, like, oh yeah, we won't tell you. You're gonna have to do a secret classified meeting. It's like, bullshit. You better show up for this hearing. I mean, what the hell are you doing? I mean, who do you think you are, not showing up for this hearing when we pay your salaries? Bullshit.
These threats, while Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida called the two defense leaders cowards for not showing up, Marky.
Yeah, I'll be asking former Governor Mike Huckabee about the no-show later. A lot of questions coming his way on yesterday's hearing, too. Tom Dempsey from D.C., thank you so much.
Yeah, so there you go. We are not getting anything from the FBI or Homeland Security. Like, yeah, we're not showing up to your little hearing. Yeah, we want a classified hearing instead. It's like, who do you think you are? So, yeah, so of course, Russia is testing their new missile, which they can stick nuclear warheads in. So here we go. They're using it as a test site in Ukraine, just in case if they need to. They need to do this. So here we go. Biden's escalating this war, and of course, he's escalating this war. It's his fault. I don't know what the hell is he doing, whether he's senile and just saying stuff and the administration just following him. I don't understand what the hell is going on there. Why all of a sudden he's changing his mind and letting Ukraine run wild with not only U.S. missiles, but also British missiles and French missiles too. So, like, what the hell are they doing? I mean, aren't these people, aren't they, like, I don't understand what's the intention. Are they trying to force Putin into an attack on NATO so they can start World War III and then give Trump no choice but to continue the war? Like, I don't understand, because clearly the Washington's afraid that Trump is going to do peace with Russia and Ukraine in that war. And that's clearly what they're afraid of. And in their minds, they think they're weakening Putin, even though he just won re-election again for another 6 years, and he's still very popular in Russia. But in their
Yeah,
mind, somehow,
just keep on winning.
but somehow in their minds, they think they're winning and weakening Putin. So politically, even though he just won re-election again for another 6 years, and he's really popular in Russia, but somehow they're defeating him. I mean, trust us, they're winning. They're weakening him politically when they're actually not. But so I don't understand the logic here. So currently, Russia is airing an emergency meeting after Ukraine attack. So there's currently a cabinet meeting with Putin and his commanders. So that's streaming live on YouTube. So very interesting how the Russians do that when they stream. Like imagine like a president streaming a cabinet meeting on YouTube here in the U.S. That doesn't happen. So those are usually private meetings. So all right. So yeah, hopefully my final thoughts are hopefully this war will not escalate and cooler heads prevail, because this is getting like really close. We're getting really close to a world war, which once it starts, God knows where it's going to end up. And God knows it doesn't matter who wins, because whoever wins, it's not like World War I or World War II where whoever won, it's like they won. Now they get to reshape the world in their image. Is like whoever wins this war wins. It's not going to be good, because I think Albert Einstein said this best. If there's a World War III, World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. So yeah, so I prefer not to find out about whether he was he was correct on that or not, but he probably is. I mean, we're going to bomb ourselves back into the Stone Age if World War III starts and superpowers actually attack each other directly. But let's the war would be an attack against BRICS and their method of currency. That's a good point. Yeah, they're really afraid of. That's another thing they're afraid of, BRICS taking off, because if it does, then that makes the U.S. less relevant and the dollar less relevant. So that's why that's actually a good point, Golden. That could be why the U.S. is acting more desperately to try to get Russia to attack them. Because if Russia attacks not only or the U.S. or one of its allies, then actually a NATO ally, then they can enforce Article 5 and off the World War III we go. So they're trying to goad the Russians into an attack, and hopefully they don't fall for it. Attacking they might not have a choice. Again, this is so complicated that I'm just hoping that nothing like that happens. But yeah, let's see. Anything else? Putin holds Ukraine holding emergency meeting on Russia new missile targeting Ukraine. Yeah, again, it's like the U.S. media is just completely like, oh, this is Russia's fault. I mean, there's no Russian to attack Ukraine with that missile for no reason. No reason. None. And then another one, Russia-Ukraine war. Putin opens threat to strike U.S./UK as war escalates. About this, about stop giving Ukraine weapons, and maybe peace would have happened by now. But no, man, no. I mean, they have to escalate. Have to, because like Golden said, it could be like they definitely see BRICS as a threat. Also, it could be to continue enriching U.S. military contractors. So it's like they gotta keep their stock price up, and a lot of the politicians are also invested in said contractors. So because so yeah, not just that, but also I'm sure we have a lot of these corporate media members that are also invested in these defense contractors, because everybody knows that as long as there's some sort of proxy war, everybody's going to make money off it. And so, every Ukrainian male has died, and now they're using senior citizens and people that are slow to fight their wars. Who cares? We're still making our money. So, all right. So let's get to
The Cowboy part.
Yeah, the rich can go underground. Yeah, that's what I said. They have like what am I looking for? They have those underground bunkers all over the country. So in fact, there's some like companies like, oh yeah, buy one of our underground bunkers. There's like mansions underground for millions of dollars. So yeah, they definitely have underground bunkers. It's just that I'm sure they would prefer not to live underground for like 100 years until the nuclear fallout ends. But yeah, let's. Did I like it? I think I did. Is there anything? Let me see. It might have been something that I also wanted to cover real quick because we still have time. But let's see. Where's my bookmarks? Wait. The Yankees and Trent Grisham have agreed on a 1-year, $5 million deal to avoid our.
Yeah, I saw that.
Grisham made another $250,000 in bonuses tied to plate appearances. Okay, whatever.
The Royals just traded for Jonathan India.
Oh, I didn't see that. I mean, that just wow. So they're definitely trying to improve here. Let's see. Do I have it here? Or... Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to cover. I'm glad. So the Russians, just real quick here, before we get to that, the Russians have began building these mass production of mobile bomb shelters, capable of withstanding nuclear shockwaves, radiation, and conventional attacks, providing protection up to 48 hours. So the Russians are, they're preparing too.
These bomb shelters are designed to protect against radiation and natural disasters, and they're now being mass-produced in Russia, the country's Emergency Ministry Research Institute has said. The announcement coming as US President Joe Biden's administration agreed to allow Ukraine to fire American long-range missiles deep into Russia, though the Research Institute did not link the production increase to any current crisis. The Cub-M shelter is said to defend against a variety of threats, including shrapnel, debris, and fires. It can even be deployed in Russia's vast northern permafrost, according to the State Institute. A standard unit can hold 54 people, but additional modules can be added. The war in Ukraine is entering what some officials say could be its final, most dangerous phase. Moscow's forces are advancing at their fastest pace since the early weeks of the conflict in 2022, while the West is seeking to shore up Ukraine. On Tuesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin issued a warning to the US, lowering the threshold for a nuclear strike. On Monday, the Kremlin called Washington's long-range missile decision reckless and said it would respond.
What? The U.S. called it reckless? What about them allowing Ukraine to bomb Russia first?
Yeah.
Was that was not reckless? And it's like if I were Putin, that would drive me insane. I mean, it's like they blame everything on me, and it's like you're the one that started this, and I'm just responding. And like, oh yeah, now we're gonna respond. What are you gonna do exactly? Like, Jake Sullivan says we have given Ukrainians everything we have, which is true, and now it's up to Ukraine to send more citizens in the meat grinder. And that's exactly what he says. But not literally, but
the tanks, we provided the F-16s, we provided the HIMARS, we provided the Patriots, we provided many of the things that you said earlier we wouldn't provide. And it's not back then, it's rather today that Ukraine finds itself in a more challenged position on the battlefield, suggesting that there's not a straight line between those weapon systems and how it does on the battlefield. Where is the straightest line between Ukrainian performance and inputs? It's on mobilization and manpower.
It's on mobilization and manpower. So, in other words, take more of your men and basically use them as cannon fodder against the Russians. So just throw them in front of the missile and the cannons and let them die for us, for the United States, and for our defense contractors.
I wonder why Marcus Stroman is trending.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I know the Yankees are trying to move him, but because he was unfortunately not good. He hasn't been traded yet, but there's a lot of discussion on him, so he might get traded at some point. So, all right, so let's see. So we talked about a little bit earlier, but we have some appearances. What time is it? Oh, we got plenty of time. Okay, so Kyle Kalinske, as we talked about a little bit earlier, made his debut on Piers Morgan's show, and it didn't go well. I mean, he went one-on-one with Piers Morgan, so it didn't he was on the panel afterwards, but and he went one-on-one with Piers Morgan for like 7 minutes, and it didn't go well. And you can tell it didn't go well because Kyle had to do a 25-minute video basically filleting himself, talking about why he did.
25-minute video. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, I could check again. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but let's see. AOC torches Republican, blah, 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 whatever.
Still defending the squad to this day.
25 minutes, 17 seconds. Yeah, 25-minute video to explain why he owned Piers Morgan and he did a great job on his show. So it's basically
why have you dyed your hair blonde now?
Yeah, so I think that I like it. I had to it because I wanted to play some of it today, especially the part where here it is. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, that's Jank fighting with God, Kyle has such a smug look on his face. And when when Piers first cuts to him, it's like he has such a smug look on his face.
Oh God.
Yeah, when Piers first cuts to him, it's like, all right, let's.
And first making his uncensored debut, the host of the Kyle.
Look at that
show.
smug look on his face. Like he thinks he's gonna own Piers Morgan.
It's more like the I am in danger face.
Yeah, it looks like he's smug, but at the same time, once this gets started, he has that look like, oh shit, this is not going well. You can see it in his face. But
show Kyle Kalinske. Well, Kyle, welcome to Uncensored. We're trying to get you for a long time.
Yeah.
Let's have a little chat with you before we get reaction from the panel. But why did the Democrats blow it so badly, and what do they do to avoid this happening again in 4 years?
I mean, the simple answer is that Kamala Harris kind of codes as a technocratic status quo manager, and Trump codes as a change agent. And so, I mean, to sum it up as simply as possible, voters just thought he's going to deliver more change, she's more of the same, and they broke for him.
Who would you like to see run the party now? I mean, what's the future of the Democrats looking like to you?
Jon Stewart. I've been pushing that since the day Trump won this time.
Jon Stewart. That's who should be running the Democratic Party.
Have you ever mentioned Jon Stewart giving that medal to that Ukrainian Nazi?
No. As far as I know, at least. I don't think he did though, because
he supports Ukraine more than Russia, right? Is that correct?
He did at first when it first started, and I remember doing a segment on my show at the time where he said, well, I would have given 1 or 2 weapons packages to Ukraine, and then after that, I wouldn't have done any more.
Yes,
like that was a neocon plan. Oh, George W. Bush would have loved that plan.
Yeah,
that's how far right Kyle has gone. But I do remember covering it at the time when the war first started. I'm like, you kidding me? I mean, he like, oh yeah, I would have given 1 or 2 weapons packages to Ukraine. So you would have enriched defense contractors. You would have, given weapons to Ukraine for what? So people can die at the war front, at the war, but your ass ain't there. So, and my ass ain't there either. But I'm not advocating for the war. That's the difference. All right, so this can a little bit, Jon Stewart, and he's doubled and tripled down on this, by the way. So
don't forget, he had on Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice on his show.
Oh, that Apple podcast he had very briefly, where he had both of them on and sucked up and fellatioed both of them.
Yeah.
So but Kyle loves Jon Stewart. He's doing fellatio to him for years. So this isn't anything new. Yeah. So.
One this time around, because what we need is honestly a controversial, charismatic celebrity might make all of the difference, but it's that mixed with Bernie Sanders'
They know it's
policies
not.
of actually delivering
With
social
bleach in the
democracy for
scalp.
people, raising their pay, getting them health care.
Video's
I
not
think that's the
working.
magic stew. And
No,
honestly, I think it's a shame that more people aren't talking about the controversial, charismatic celebrity portion of Trump being so successful, is that you can't keep the cameras off him. He's entertaining. Love him or hate him, you can't stop watching him. And so we need to sort of mirror that on the left. And I think the way of doing that is Jon Stewart.
But I would add to that.
That's not going to work. And I'll explain why here. It's not going to work because here's the thing about the Democrats. And again, he said it, kind of said it too about Kamala Harris. Is like they're technocratic, work within the system, bureaucratic liberals. That's what they are. That's the Democratic Party base. I mean, they love their technocratic bureaucracy, middle of the road liberals. So what makes them think that they would love to vote for Jon Stewart? Yeah, I mean, a lot of them watch on The Daily Show, or at least did. I don't know how the ratings from Daily Show is doing today, but about 10 years ago, yeah, Daily Show was it. But now Jon Stewart does it once a week, and I watched his first episode back, and it was like, what the hell? It's like a lazy Jon Stewart's this lazy old man with the same jokes from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good. I haven't watched it since because I used to like it 10 years ago. I'm not going to say I never liked the show. That's not true. I loved the show at one point. But now it's like he's 10 years older and he's doing the same jokes and he looks like he doesn't want to be there, but he needs the money, I guess. I don't know, but
yeah.
But and Kyle's like, "Oh, it's Jon Stewart. He's our standard bearer. He's sure for president." He's not going to win. These technocratic liberals don't like the loudmouth, angry white dude. That's why they voted for Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. They don't like that loudmouth, white, angry liberal progressive. They don't. So I don't know what makes him think. And by the way, you shouldn't trust like Kyle's analysis because he got the election wrong, embarrassingly wrong. So, but he's still smug and arrogant.
Yeah.
What Bill Maher's been warning for a long time to liberals, speaking as a liberal himself, and I'm pretty much where he is politically, I think. I feel the same way. And I know you've been keen to say, look, Kamala didn't mention any of these woke issues or whatever, but she's very much associated with a lot of those woke issues.
Definitely
She's
is.
certainly voted in line with a lot of the more progressive stuff,
Definitely
like
is.
allowing transgender athletes in women's sport and so on. So she's seen to be a progressive who then moved rapidly to the centre when she got the nomination, and it was all too much of a screech for people, probably on both sides. But this whole woke ideology, I don't mean the original woke ideology of raising awareness for racial and social injustice. I mean the way it's become a kind of new form of fascism, where the far left just basically want to cancel, shame, and humiliate absolutely anybody who disagrees with them about anything. Do you accept that has become a problem, a stick to beat the party with, which actually really damages them electorally?
Yes.
No, I think Kamala ran basically the platonic ideal of a non-woke Democratic campaign. She never mentioned race. She never mentioned gender. She never mentioned trans people. She never mentioned pronouns or Latinx or cancel culture. She repeatedly stressed that she was going to represent all Americans. She ran to the...
She did, but Kyle never covered it. That's why in his mind it means that she didn't. That's basically what's going on here. He never covered her saying that stuff. Or in his mind, it's like, oh no, but she never said it because I never covered it, and I didn't bother, doing any real research. And he had to have known that she did. He's a lot of things, but he's not a stupid man, or at least unless that's the old Kyle that I knew. Unless now he's just completely a hack, and he knows that Kamala Harris did say this stuff, but it's like, let me cover this up because it's for to protect myself politically.
Like I said before, I trust Benny Johnson more than this fucking guy.
Yeah. Max, Driving Me Macy says he sells out like Stephen Colbert. Oh my God. Do you guys remember that show Stephen Colbert did like 15 years ago on Comedy Central when he was the parody of Bill O'Reilly? That was one of the best shows ever. It's so hilarious. And now look at him. He's on CBS, Tonight Show? Not Tonight Show. Is it Tonight Show? Whatever it is. Yeah, he's on late nights on CBS now. Yeah. And he's like a shell of what he was then. It's like oh, it's so brutal to, how can anybody watch that show? It's like, it's so brutal the way how he's completely turned, because What was that show called?
Same with Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, he's his former self too.
Yeah, he's a shell. I mean, these guys sold out for multi-million-dollar salaries, and to have these boring late night shows that aren't even good anymore. They're not Jay Leno. They're not
Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien. They're not I forget their name. Tonight I'm getting kind of what the hell?
Let's continue with the video.
yeah. I mean, they're not any of these like I forget. Okay, yeah, let's just do that for now.
And to the right on the issue of the border, she talked about owning a gun. She ran on freedom and patriotism. And so when you put all that stuff together, I simply don't know what people are talking about when they say she's
they're talking about her record.
Those things at
hang on. They're talking about her record as vice president of the Biden administration, where they never stopped talking about this stuff for nearly 4 years. So you could pretend when you get the nomination.
The Biden administration would do these like trans events at the White House where they would have the trans colors on the White House. They did it all the time. And there was at one point where we had this trans woman like expose her breasts, in the White House. I'm sure you remember that.
I remember seeing that.
It's embarrassing. It's like, what the hell are they doing? Why is the administration allowing this? And Kyle's like, Kamala never did any of that. It's like she was involved in it. She was at the White House during these events. What the hell is he talking about? Look at his face. Like,
whoa, I'm a centrist. I'm a gun-toting Rambo, by the way, as well, to all you Second Amendment people. But actually, if you judge her on what she said and did in 4 years, she was a progressive left person. And to pretend otherwise is to just ignore what went on in that period.
What I'm much more concerned about is not Democrats being woke or Democrats censoring speech.
Hold on, this is Piers Morgan kind of, being on a right-wing network. So that's why he said, oh, well, she's a progressive left person.
Yeah.
He works, I forget what network he's on, but he's in the UK now, and Rupert Murdoch owns the network. So they have a bunch of just these right-wingers on it. It's like, it's so brutal to watch. But Piers Morgan's one of the few that you could stand a little bit, especially since he doesn't do much talking on this show now.
Speech. I'm much more concerned about Trump's record on those things. So, for example, Trump said he wants to punish flag burning with a year in jail.
So
that's against the first.
If you watch any Kyle's videos now, you know the spiel he's about to get into. About Trump and being anti-First
Amendment. But Trump. That's what he does now.
Yeah.
Amendment. He sued CNN for $475 million.
And Pierce is going to come in with like a devastating question, which Kyle doesn't have a good answer for. But
calling election denialism the big lie. Before he was president, he sued Bill Maher for $5 million over a joke. He said he wants to open up the libel laws. He called for jailing journalists who report on the Supreme Court abortion ruling early before the decision.
How many of those things did he do in his first term?
Pro-Palestine protesters.
How many of those things did he actually do in his first term? Because
None.
There seems to be another problem, and he does this brilliantly, by the way, with the left. He sucks you in because he just shoots them a hip and he says stuff that crosses his mind or whatever. And rather than pick him off on stuff he actually does, you all go completely nuts every time he opens his mouth and says something a bit crazy. And if I was advising the Democrats, I'd be like, stop doing this. You're literally playing into his trap every time you do this.
He isn't wrong.
Boom.
He isn't wrong. I mean, the left, like I'm not sure about Trump.
Imagine getting destroyed by Piers fucking Morgan.
He's getting destroyed by Piers Morgan, and that's why he had to do that 25-minute video, basically justifying on why. Oh no, he didn't destroy me. I kicked his ass in that conversation. But yeah, it's a great point. I mean, it's like they keep walking into that trap. It's like Trump says something outrageous and ridiculous. They all do it, not just MSNBC and CNN. Most of independent liberal media, they all do it. And Kyle just did it there too. He just did it, and he's like, look on his face, like come on. All right, he's getting his ass kicked here. Let's finish this up.
Pick him off on the stuff he actually does. Then you got a better chance.
All right, I'll do that. Here, ready? He gag ordered the EPA from telling the truth on climate change. That's deeply anti-free speech. He arrested and charged 6 journalists with felony rioting. He did not pardon Assange. He did not pardon Snowden. He did not pardon.
Wait. I'm sorry. I mean, with his logic,
did Biden do any of that, Kyle?
No, he didn't. So his logic is, oh yeah, well, Trump had 6 journalists arrested and charged him with rioting. The Democrats' record on journalism is not. It's just as bad, if not worse. You can argue. So what are you talking? Oh well, he didn't pardon Assange. He didn't pardon. He's got to get into his little spiel here. But by the way, neither did Joe Biden. But
Yeah.
and Kamala Harris wouldn't have pardoned him either.
No.
So let's just make that clear.
And you got a better chance.
All right, I'll do that. Here, ready? He gag ordered the EPA from telling the truth on climate change. That's deeply anti-free speech.
What?
He arrested and charged 6 journalists with felony rioting. He did not pardon Assange. He did not pardon Snowden. He did not pardon Daniel Hale. He wanted to invoke the Insurrection Act.
Did Biden, but he just ignores that.
To deploy the U.S. To deploy our own troops against George Floyd protesters. These are all things that are actually on the record, things he actually did. And the thing that I find incredible.
He didn't do that. He didn't deploy the military against George Floyd rioters. Some people argued he should have, or at the very least should have had the National Guard out there sooner. But yeah, I mean, he didn't do that. He said allegedly he said that he wanted to, but is there any evidence that Trump actually did say this? I mean, I don't remember. It's like 4 years ago at this point. So memory fades. I'm 4 years older. So I forget stuff easier. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more in this, I think. Yeah.
Find incredibly frustrating is that nobody talks about it. Trump magically gets a pass for things he actually did.
He doesn't
whereas
get
Democrats
a pass.
get held to a super high standard.
Come on, he doesn't
well,
get a pass.
How many times have you heard
Trump
people say
had,
those things I just
Trump
told you?
has had.
Wait.
Hang on. Let me answer you. Let me answer you.
Last time you
Trump
heard
has had the most unrelentingly hostile media from a mainstream media that is largely staffed by liberals. We know this because the way they all go nuts when their paper wouldn't come out and endorse Kamala and all resign.
He isn't wrong here. Most of the corporate media is liberal and they hate Trump. So he isn't wrong.
So they reveal their true colors. Cable news the same. MSNBC, CNN. You can fire a harpoon.
Oh, most of liberal online media too is anti-Trump. Kind of like Mr. Kyle here, the Ken doll. So
around their newsrooms, and you wouldn't hit a conservative, right? So let's just get real about the way mainstream media is made up. I've worked in it, and there are very few conservatives, and that is part of the problem as well. And I just think that ultimately, if the Democrats are going to try and make themselves electable, they've got to move wholesale on now to a far more effective way of campaigning. And it can't just be every time Donald Trump speaks, mass hysteria, shaving your head, going on TikTok and posting videos of yourself screaming and saying you'll never have sex with a Trump supporter again. All this stuff is insane.
How about just telling the truth? Wait. How about just telling the truth? That's a radical idea, right? When was the last time you heard that Trump arrested and charged 6 journalists with felony rioting? Who talked about that? Did CNN talk about that? Did MSNBC talk about that? Did you talk about that? Nobody talks about it. And the fact of the matter is Trump attacks Democrats 4 times as hard as they attack him.
Yeah.
So if anything, the lesson to take away is the opposite. Democrats should get more arrogant, they should get more aggressive, and they should tell the truth more.
Come on, Kyle. You know that.
Piers laughed in his face. You seen that?
Yeah, I did.
It's so stupid. It was like, oh, Democrats need to get more arrogant and more and like come on. That's not going to win you elections. It's like he's completely broken, this man. Like,
that would be utter
suicide. That's the truth.
You know what? You wouldn't be as good at it as he is because he does it with humor. You lot all do these incredibly straight-faced, virtue-signaling, I'm outraged by absolutely everything faces. And
he's right. They can't pull Donald Trump. He's the only one that can get away with that. Do that asshole way. He's an asshole, but at the same time, he's charismatic about it. So people are like, I like him, even though he's a prick, but I still like him. No Democrat can pull that off because they just come across as arrogant and condescending, and they're basically talking down to you from their ivory tower, kind of like Kyle is here. So it's not working. It's not going to work. And I don't think Jon Stewart can even pull it off because if he was 10 years younger, maybe 15 years younger, maybe he could pull it off. But today, he just comes across as an angry old white man, and that's not going to do.
Just remember, don't forget, Kyle Kalinske was the one who said that Democrats are 1 trillion times better than Republicans. So,
yeah,
that's how you know he's on your side.
Not sticking up for Biden, but Trump just said about the flag, and Pompeo tried to kill Assange.
Pompeo. Come on,
Pompeo, but Dens rebukes are the same team, Kyle. Yep, he's a heel. I assume you're talking about Kyle, but Let's get a little bit more of this, and then I want to go to.
And it's like, if you all just chilled out a bit, have a bit of Kool-Aid,
No.
have a bit of a
That's
laugh.
why I said Jon Stewart.
Death by mockery. Well, actually, you're right. Jon Stewart gets exactly the right tone. On that, I agree with you.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
We agree. Yeah.
I agree. Let's bring in.
See, look at that smile on his face. Oh yeah. I mean, we agree. Because Pierce kicked his ass. So then finally, at the end there, they kind of agreed on Jon Stewart. Even though I don't agree, Jon Stewart would not do well in the Democratic primary.
No,
he wouldn't, because first of all, he's going to be the old angry white man and doesn't play well with the PMC technocratic liberal base of the Democratic Party. The college educated, white person, or anybody's college educated, because they think they're above it. They're above the fray. So they don't want some old white man who's yelling and screaming about how bad everything is to represent them. Why do you think Bernie Sanders lost twice? Because that's the same thing that happened there. So let's see. Let's go back to Cenk and Alan Nickman's fight, because this is pretty funny here. I had a couple, so let's go here, because Kyle got his ass kicked, so the poor bastard I put up a 25-minute video to justify why he actually kicked Piers' ass. And by the way, to get owned by Piers Morgan, that's kind of pathetic, but Kyle managed to do that, so just sad.
By the way. So this idea of like disinformation, I think some of it was disinformation, but it's, I think the idea that this election was only won through right-wing disinformation, I'm afraid I view that as a total delusion by the Democrats. Again.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm sorry, but I totally disagree with Juan and Professor Lichtman. Don't blame the voters. I think, look, we could get into this discussion, but Juan, I think you're blaming the voters. I think that's a terrible idea. And look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were
couldn't
not
find
right,
them before
and
the
I was
election.
not wrong. And that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be
Who
taking
won?
cheap
Who
shots
won?
at me.
Who
You
won?
want to make your
You
point,
live
make your
in a
point.
total
Don't make it
world of
personal.
denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me.
Yeah,
so quiet with your personal attacks.
come find out again.
Make whatever point you want. Don't
Look,
make it personal.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Oh, right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program, I've never been able to finish a thought.
How many books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again. Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for
brother, you got it wrong.
Say
you were
whatever you want.
preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, okay, all right. Can I just finish a goddamn thought? Ever on this show?
No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
Okay.
I'll just say it's great to see you Democrats all getting along so well.
Who taught you manners?
It's lovely to see a post-election harmony as you all come together again.
Hey, Alan, right now. Hey, Alan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice. So can you just shut up for a second? And let's.
So he stole that from The Rock like 20 years ago.
Isn't it funny that Cenk Uygur these days, I never thought I would say it, but he sounds just a bit more sane than Kyle does now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I think I commented on this video or somebody else did, but somebody commented, well, Cenk sounds the most reasonable out of this panel. It's like, how the hell does that happen? Like, he's the most reasonable one out of all of them. And it's like, he's more reasonable than all of these guys. And Alan Lichtman here, he says something a little bit later. He says something about how Cenk is committing blasphemy against him. So I think it's after this.
And let someone who knows what they're doing.
You're so right, Pierce.
You're
so right. We're so unified right now. So I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me.
There it is.
You don't need to do that. You don't boost
blasphemy against you? What the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser? Okay, can I just give the correct answer for once?
Yeah, blasphemy, like Cenk committed blasphemy against him, like he's Jesus or something. It's absurd.
Even he's laughing about it, which is funny.
Harry's laughing. I mean, Juan Williams there kind of was laughing. So this is just a mess. All right, so I think they fight again a little bit later because you don't need to see all this. Here it is, yeah. They fight again here a little bit.
Of successful prediction based upon how American presidential elections have previously worked as pragmatic decision-making on whether or not the White House party has governed well enough. And
Look,
then my
his
analysis...
entire reputation was just ruined by this election.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's trying to rescue whatever bit of reputation he has left. So he's kind of getting desperate here.
Analysis is based upon what's changed, what's shattered the pattern of 160 years of history. So I have a base for my analysis. I'm not just doing Monday morning quarterbacking. Jank, you need to learn some manners. Your act is getting really thin.
I mean, brother, I said what was going to go wrong. It did go wrong. I was right. You were wrong in this election, spectacularly so, with your so-called keys. And
Jank, did he get it wrong? I don't think he did a prediction this time around. So, did he? I don't think he
I don't know
did.
if he did a prediction, but he may have said that Kamala was going to win. I don't remember.
He probably talked out of both sides of his mouth, depending on what was going on. Yeah. Because I remember at the beginning when Kamala first, got in the race and she was winning by 7 points or whatever. It's like Kamala's definitely going to win. But now I'm sure once the election got closer, he kind of backpedaled from that. It's like, guys, she may lose. That's what he does in every election cycle anyway. So to be fair, he probably at the end did get it right. And like Kamala, it was I remember him saying the election is going to be close, so I'm not going to do a prediction. So he didn't want to put his reputation on the line. So it's like, like everybody else did, like Kyle and Alan Lichtman here, Crystal Ball and Emma Vigeland and everybody. Did Sam Cedar do a prediction? I assume he. I don't know. I mean, let's finish this.
And now you come and tell us not the Monday morning.
Unlike you, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong.
Are you ever going to learn the lessons?
Can I just ask? Hang on. Just ask for those who have no idea what the key thing is all about. Why are you flashing keys?
Okay, because this brother said that he had these keys and they were going to determine the outcome of the election, and all the keys were rigged in favor of incumbents. And I tried to explain to him, no, there are things outside of the keys. We literally had a debate, and I asked him, what if Joe Biden, this was back when he was defending Joe Biden, which now seems unconscionable, what if Biden came and punched a baby every single day? Would your keys still hold? And he said yes. Okay, well, then you're an unreasonable person.
I was right.
But what I'm most worried about is not the past,
Let me
it's the
explain
future.
why. I was right.
I mean, listen to him.
About Biden.
You have no idea how absurd you sound. Okay, but guys, the most important thing is not between me and Professor Lichtman. God bless you, brother. I know you did a lifetime's worth of work, and I feel a little bit bad about it. The reason I'm saying it is not to rub it in now. It's because I'm worried that in the next primary, you're going to tell people to vote for the establishment Democrat. That all of you on this panel are going to go, oh, no, vote for the corporate robot, vote for the corporate robot. And that's going to destroy this party. That's why I'm fighting back so aggressively.
Give me a name.
No, vote for the populist left.
Give me a name.
Well, in the old days, it easily would have been Bernie Sanders.
Who
now
is
he's
it now?
too old. So, look, I would start considering Sean Fain, head of the UAW, Sean O'Brien, head of the...
Oh, that guy. No.
That's what Jenk suggested, like Sean Fain, the head of the UAW.
No, he's a fraud.
He has plenty of issues. I mean, he's hated. And Indy's talked about Sean Fain plenty of times in his issues. So check out, his content on that. But yeah, it's terrible. And who else did he say? Hold on, I kind of stopped.
I would start considering Sean Fain, head of the UAW, Sean O'Brien, head of the Teamsters, Jon Stewart.
Sean O'Brien, like the head of the
Jon
Teamsters?
Stewart. There we go.
Yes, he also said it. Jenk also said.
Go outside of politics. Almost everyone in politics is already corrupted. Find someone who is not corrupted and who's for the average man.
Harry, you're shaking your head, but I mean, Jon Stewart, if he could be persuaded, I would imagine could be very good as a candidate, couldn't he?
No, I don't take objection to Jon Stewart. I just think we have some people in the Democratic Party who are very talented now.
Harry's going to give you some establishment guys. So let me
who could be the Democratic nominee? Governor Shapiro.
Yeah.
This is where we got to push for Jimmy Dore again for 2028.
Yeah, it's like he's going to give you some establishment picks here. So
Shapiro won Pennsylvania by like 20.
Josh Shapiro, okay.
20 points. Governor Wes Moore in Maryland. How much more connected to people do you need other than like Wes Moore, who's great? Raphael Warnock from Georgia won a swing state and is a senator from a swing state. Gretchen Whitmer,
what's Warnock's popularity right now? He's under 50% in Georgia, so he's not going to win a primary or become president when he's underwater in his home state.
trifecta in Michigan for the first time in a long time. There's really talented people in the Democratic Party who are elected officials right now, and Schenck can shake his head all he'd like, but these people are winning in swing states overwhelmingly.
Who would you like to see, Harry?
So who do you like to see?
I think any of the people I just mentioned, I'd love to see. I'd love, and there's plenty more, but I think we're going to have a great primary
I'm pretty
in 2028
sure I
with
would
lots of
lay good
people.
money now that J.D. Vance will be the Republican nominee in
I'd say that's probably a good bet.
Because I think he's actually
I wouldn't take that bet.
Or Tulsi Gabbard, possibly.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that bet. I probably would go with Tulsi Gabbard if I'm honest, because she somehow managed to connect with the Trump base.
Yeah,
even though she's pretty much the opposite of Trump. She talks in this monotone, boring voice, but somehow she's managed to connect with the Trump base, even though she is the exact opposite of Trump.
I wouldn't say it's monotone or boring. It's just different from the brash and the cocky arrogance of Trump.
That's fair, but I'm just comparing it to Trump. She sounds monotone and boring, but why did they want to show Jon Stewart? Because he's Jewish? Could be, or because they really in their heads think that Jon Stewart can win. Even though, like I said here, I don't think he can get past the Democratic primary because of technocratic white liberals, college-educated white liberals are the base. They've driven away Hispanics. They've driven away the working class, period, from their base. You know who responds to that? The working class. They respond to an angry white dude, telling him that all these issues in the country and this is how I'm going to fix it. Even though that's exactly what Trump did again and he won again. So it works. It's just that it doesn't work with the bureaucratic, technocratic elite because they want the system to go continue as is. And little Harry here, he get paid by the party. So he's like, what are you talking about? We got Josh Shapiro and Westmoreland and Gretchen Whitmer. By the way, he didn't mention Gavin Newsom, which is interesting to me.
So I just read that Trump just picked Dr. Janet Nishiwat or whatever her name is, or is it a she or he? I don't know. To be the next Surgeon General. Whatever that is.
Trump picked the Surgeon General. Hey, that's basically that's the doctor, that right? Those Surgeon General warnings on cigarettes and stuff and alcohol.
Yeah.
That's that job pretty much. It's like the lead doctor here in the US. So
yeah, so that's who she is.
Yeah, okay. So it's not it's an important position, but at the same time, it's like, there's mutual interest between Walker Buehler and the Yankees. I mean, I'm so sick. That's why I don't even read that type of stuff because every time it gets me excited and then, oh shit, we get nobody. So it's like, you know what? If it happens, great. I'm not going to get my hopes up anymore.
A lot of Yankee fans are saying no, though. And I'm like, why? Why don't you want Walker Buehler? I mean, he's pitched well in cold weather, so that would work for him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like the primary focus should be getting Juan Soto, and we got to check in with other players. Yankees desperately need more pitching. So let's see. Is there anything else? Should Nancy Pelosi retire? Oh my! They get into a conversation about. Hold on. I think there's one more thing. I don't have the timestamp. Oh yeah, Rahm Emanuel wants to be head of the DNC. So they discussed that a little bit. So let me sit. They discussed that a little bit here.
As a new DNC chair would be a good signal. The Democrat Party is only there for the.
I think Piers Morgan.
On that, I agree with you. That's right. Chair would be a good signal. The Democrat Party is only there for the donor class. Many other people would say that Rahm Emanuel's a very effective political operator. I mean, actually, the Democrats need a bit of that muscle.
Look at Cenk like shaking his head. Kyle too. It's like, I mean, Rahm Emanuel is head of the DNC. It's just going to be standard Democrat politics. I mean, it's nothing going to change. He's going to take all the corporate money. He's going to hand it out to Democrats, and they'll probably do well in the midterms because I suspect Trump won't be as popular by the midterms, and they'll probably win. And depending who the Republican is in 2028, they could probably take back the White House. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll fuck it up and lose again because that's how incompetent the Democratic Party is. But let me see. Is there anything more about
It appears very effective at a cover-up. As we know, as mayor of the city of Chicago, he covered up the police murder of Laquan McDonald. He closed many schools in the Black community. Certain segments of the Black community are very outraged by him. He is more of the same and should be as far away from the DNC as possible. Now, if the Democrats want to lose again and get handed again like they just did in 2024, then go ahead and have Rahm Emanuel.
I wouldn't be talking, if I were Nina Turner, about somebody else getting their asses handed to them. She lost twice to Chantel Brown when she was the more popular candidate. So don't talk about other people getting their asses handed to them politically, because that's what happened to you twice. So just avoid that.
Emanuel there. But if they want to do a new thing and answer to the working class people of this country from all backgrounds, then they need to have somebody there primarily who's going to say no more dark money in Democratic primaries. Rahm Emanuel is an absolute no. We know that this
Golden, either they're going to pick a woman or they're going to pick Pete Buttigieg, because they can do the same. He's the first gay candidate for president. You have to vote for him. Oh, you won't vote for him? You're a homophobe and you're a bigot. You know, it's the same. They're gonna do the same playbook they did in 2024 and in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. Or they're gonna pick a woman. Or they're gonna pick a woman and do the same playbook they did in 2016 and 2024 this time around. By the way, I wouldn't want the job of president. I mean, who would? I mean, unless you're like a narcissist, you know. I don't think really anyone should want that job at this point.
That the Chicago Teachers Union feels the same way, and many others will come out against him if he decides to run for that.
Okay. Juan, let me bring you back in, because MSNBC is now at war, which is always entertaining to watch, because Joe and Mika from the morning show went off and they revealed this morning to go see.
That's boring. But yeah, I mean, one more thing before I wrap up, because today, the new episode of Crystal Kyle and Friends came out, and their main guest this week was Steve Schmidt, the Republican.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I came across it on because it was in my homepage. So I was like, what the hell is this? It's like, and I listened to it for like 10 or 15 minutes, and he had Steve Schmidt, the Republican. Where is it? I'll show you the title. You know.
Why don't they just go to MSNBC for God's sakes? What are you still doing?
All right, it's the title. Yeah, they had on Steve Schmidt. Pete is not gay. He's a woman.
Can you imagine the outrages Jimmy Dore had him on?
Cowards. Morning Joe Star exposes Mika and Joe Scarborough. So they had Steve Schmidt on. By the way, Steve Schmidt is the genius who had John McCain pick Sarah Palin in 2008 because he worked for the McCain campaign. This is a genius we're talking about here, Steve Schmidt. But they treat him.
I was going to come on tomorrow at 9 Eastern. So, yeah.
You want to come on at 9? I mean, that's fine. I mean,
I know. I'm just, Steph. We already talked last night. I was going to be on the show tomorrow. So. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean. The reason why I didn't come on the show, but I wasn't feeling well, and my back was just destroyed, and I was like, I can't, So I saw most of the show. You guys did a great job, but I actually fell asleep before the end. So that's why I wasn't in chat anymore. But yeah, this is literally, and Crystal Ball kind of was kissing his ass and kind of reverent, like showed him reverence. It's kind of reverence toward him, like. Oh my God, you're such a brave man for calling out your friends, Mika and Joe, for capitulating to President Trump. And you're so great, Steve. Tell us about that more. And then Kyle kind of,
In the 2016, 2019, Kyle Kulinski and Crystal Ball would not be doing this. They would not be doing this.
No, but I don't know who influences who more. We can speculate about that all night, but it seems like they bring out the worst in each other. I mean, it's like their relationship is, like, okay, so who can be more of a shit lib? Oh no, I can. No, I can. No, it's one of those things. It's like, this is. I listened to most of this while I was eating dinner, I was making dinner, and I was like, oh, this is so brutal. They're actually kissing up to Steve Schmidt for, he had the balls. He had the balls to call out Mika and Joe for
I just think Kyle Kalinski's the worst now. He just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse as the months go by. He won't stop exposing himself.
Yeah. All right. So I can actually play a couple minutes of this before we go because just wanted to.
Wix, one platform.
No. Well, ignore the ads here. All right, here we go.
With you and what
Still kisses his ass here a little bit, so.
Happy to welcome to the show Steve Schmidt, who has a Substack and a YouTube channel called The Warning with Steve Schmidt.
Oh yeah, he has a Substack and a YouTube channel. Don't check it out. I'm sure it's boring, and you want to get political advice from that guy, but
Schmidt, great to see you, sir.
Great to see you all.
Yeah, of course. So Steve and I overlapped at MSNBC way back. So nice to be reconnected with you. And what came across my radar recently is you had a pretty scathing indictment of Joe and Mika over at Morning Joe and their decision to make the trek down to Mar-a-Lago and, as they described it, like restart relations with Donald Trump. And, you know, it was noteworthy to me in particular because you had been inside those circles. I was at MSNBC, never really invited to the Morning Joe Cool Kids table, but you were inside of those rooms. And you
see, I mean, she kind of upset that she was never invited on Morning Joe. It's like, oh, well, I was never invited to the Morning Joe Cool Kids table, but you were. You know, you were, and I want you to tell me more about that. And let me talk about how great you are a little bit more. And then Kyle kind of does the same thing, you know, it sucks up to him too. I'm like,
oh my God.
If you watch the whole thing, you'll just cringe. You won't even be able to get through it. I mean, I barely got through it, you know, so.
The transformation is 100% complete now for Kyle. I mean, that is just, and like I said before, they call Jimmy Dore the biggest grifter. No, absolutely not. It's Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball, the Vanguard, all those people who pretended to be progressives, they now turn into shit lips. Those are the biggest grifters.
Yeah, also the Vanguard did a video defending Kyle's appearance on Piers Morgan.
Of course they did.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That came through my timeline too. I didn't watch it, but I was like, oh, come on. They're on my timeline. And two, of course they did. They, you know, imagine
you can have a setting when you click the three dots next to the video. You can have it set to don't show channel or whatever it is.
Okay, well, that's definitely something I'm be doing then because I really don't want to see, especially the Vanguard. But yeah, I mean, imagine Jimmy had on Steve Schmidt. How would both Crystal and Kyle react? But yeah, it's okay for them to do it because, you know, I mean, they are respectable political commentators. And I've said this before, both Kyle and Crystal might as well have gone on MSNBC and go work for them. Because if they're going to fire Mika and Joe, which is very likely.
Why have your own show if you're going to do doing the same talking points and all this stuff? Just like you said, go to MSNBC.
Yeah, so they will. If they get, I'm like, look, just put Kyle and Crystal on the morning show. Make them the new host. They would love it because the way Kyle talks about the independent media and
I know it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, independent media is horrible now, guys, and you know,
the mainstream media, it's not so much a big problem.
Not anymore. I mean, so it's like it seems like Kyle's kind of fishing for a job in corporate media, even though they're cutting jobs. You know, they're not hiring anybody right now. The MSNBC, the ratings are falling apart. But I'm guaranteeing you give both Crystal and Kyle $5 million a year at MSNBC, they would go. They both would go. It'd be cheaper than paying Mika and Joe. So yeah, that's
just keep destroying themselves.
Hey, I mean, get out of the space. You know, if they hate it, especially Kyle, if he hates it so much, get out of the space. I mean, hire an agent and go to CNN or to MSNBC and try to get a job. You know, especially with his problem is a lot of his older videos may be a reason why he can't get a job. But it's like, don't worry though. I'm total shit live now. You can hire me, which I'm sure they probably if he doesn't want too much money, they probably would hire him. But I digress. I don't know. I mean, I'm just speculating on what Kyle wanting a job in corporate media. So All right, so I think what time is it? Yeah, we do have to go. It's 9 o'clock, and my battery is dying. So I do want to thank everybody for watching, and I love you too, Steph. We'll see you tomorrow for Pro Wrestling Talk, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I saved the whole Linda McMahon conversation for tomorrow at 9, so we can all talk about it real quick then. And make sure Pro Wrestling Talk tomorrow at 9, or tomorrow at 8, sorry. We'll be previewing Survivor Series, which is next Saturday. And we will be, I think I have a show to do with Steph on Sunday, which is something completely different. And we'll be back on Friday for Angel in the Afternoon, 7 o'clock.
And
Eastern.
also Thursday, the Snow Himbo.
Oh yeah,
podcast.
so okay, well I'll probably make that as far as I know. No problem. And and next Friday's Angel in the Afternoon will be a different. I'll experiment with it because the day after Thanksgiving, and I don't expect anybody to. I'm not doing a show or a live show at least, and I don't expect anybody to sit here and talk about politics the day after Thanksgiving when you and your families. So I'll experiment with the episode. I'll announce it at some point next week.
Well, on November 29th, which is next Friday, I'm going to go to the Jimmy Dore show in Flappers. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to be here anyways. So I'm not going to be here. So it's like, so yeah. So I'll experiment. I'll experiment with next week's episode. So I'll announce that later. But yeah, so that'll do it for this episode. How can get a job in the crypto industry is already sold. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if it makes a lot of money, he would probably do it. But yeah, so that'll do it for this episode, Angel in the Afternoon. I want to thank Alex for coming on once again. I want to thank everybody in the chat for joining me. And at 10:30, I think there's going to be another clip show of Jesse Jets at a Jesse Jets show. So I'm pretty sure Indy's another clip show up. It starts at 10:30. So stick around for that in the INN channel. Have a nice weekend, everybody.